everyone. Welcome to our WrestleMania preview here on ClaimsOnline.com. Joe Roderick, John Marecek with you for the next, 2-3 hours, however long it takes us to get through everything going on.
The second part of the card.
Brought to you by the Inskip Law Firm and Glory Pro Wrestling here. As John, I believe this is our 10th year of doing a WrestleMania preview of some sort. I think we did one all the way back, maybe on 9/20, 10 years ago, back in 2014. Where we had Jim Ross and Dave Meltzer on the show.
I remember that. You asked Dave Meltzer if there's cheering in the press box.
Did I really? I don't remember.
You did. Well, it was a good question.
We know the answer to that today with some of the press that they allow in to the that was press conferences. Yeah,
that was the whole reason for the question. Was like, there's no such thing really as wrestling media because it's websites and vloggers and bloggers, and there's no like journalistic integrity in that business. That's why you asked the question.
Yeah, there's
definitely cheerleading.
There's folks in the press box afterwards that are wearing their Stone Cold denim jean jackets. So.
It is unbelievable. The post PLE scrum, if you'd like to call it that, or press conference is hilarious. It's like they could have a contest and say, "Congratulations, you won the honor to go in and ask a question." Yeah. That's what it looks like.
It's changed over the years. I will not be going out to Philadelphia this weekend, watching it from the comfort of my own home. There was talk. I actually need to cancel all the flights and hotels tomorrow to make sure that I don't get charged for not being out there this weekend. But we will. We have so much on the card for the next however long that we are doing the show. As you are watching live, whether it be on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, or Instagram Live, we are all over the place now. And if you miss any part of the show or aren't able to watch the entire show, we'll have the audio posted up wherever you find your podcasts later on tonight and into tomorrow morning. So you will have plenty of time to watch and join along. And also, too, as I mentioned, if you want to leave comments, tweet at us. We will let you chime in as well as the show goes on. Comment on I believe on Facebook, on YouTube, and we will be able to see those comments here as we do the show. 13 matches on the card over 2 nights, as they have done this now since 2020. With the 2-night card, kind of something they borrowed from Wrestle Kingdom over in New Japan, who was doing 2-night shows for several years. And just right off the bat, we are going to spend so much time on the show tonight on the main events. That's if you are here to hear a breakdown of Ray and Dragon Lee against Dirty Dom and Santos Escobar, you are not listening to the right show right now. I'm sorry. Tune in about 2 hours and maybe we'll get to it. But right now we are really going to be focusing on the tag match on night 1 and how that trickles down into the events of night 2. John, in the now, I guess, 5th year that they have done a 2-night show, this is the first time that they have had something tie into both nights. This is the first. Yeah. This is the first time that they have gone from, hey, stuff that happens on night 1 can't happen on night 2. It's also the first time that you're having somebody work both nights of the show, multiple guys working both nights of the show in Cody, Roman, and Seth.
Well, so let's start with that, because you talked about that being a possibility a long time ago, and I thought it was nuts to think that they were going to have the main eventers work twice. You believed for months that Cody and Roman both could end up working both nights. And here we are. They are both working both nights. My whole argument against that is it's super dangerous and super scary when you think, and the main reason is because you only have 2 guys in that match. The last time I remember them, one of the few, I don't even know how many times it's happened other than those tournament shows, like 4. And I don't know if any other ones were tournaments of Mania. I don't think they were. they did it with Daniel Bryan, Triple H, and
Bret Hart did it at WrestleMania 10.
Did he? Okay.
He opened up the show against Owen and then was in the main event later that night. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then didn't they do something good? No, that wasn't. So yeah, it was 10 with that. And it was just the two of them. I wasn't watching then.
In what? Yeah, in WrestleMania
That
10.
year?
WrestleMania 10, I think that wasn't, he didn't face Bret in that match. So the first match of the night was the match, the Bret versus Owen match. And then the last show of the night, it was Bret Hart versus Yokozuna. Yokozuna also wrestled twice that night too. Yokozuna beat Lex Luger, and then it was Bret Hart versus Yokozuna at the end of the night. So yeah, Yoko also wrestled twice in the same night.
Was that 10 or 9?
That was number 10. 9 was, I believe 9. Which one was 9?
9 was 9 the Vegas one? The
Vegas 9 was the Vegas one. Yeah, 11. 11 was the Iron Man match. Right? That was.
Oh, I don't remember.
No. 11 was one of the worst WrestleManias of all
match.
time. 12 was the Iron Man match. Yeah. 11 was quite possibly the worst WrestleMania ever.
Okay, and so then the most recent example of having somebody work twice is Daniel Bryan beating Triple H to get into the main event, which was against
Batista
and Randy Orton.
Worst WrestleMania of all time. That was the worst WrestleMania of all time. WrestleMania.
We're not going to get into it. Okay, I understand. That's a Taker issue, different show.
Yeah. I don't think that loss counts anymore since they've rid Brock of all of
so that's why. So then it's Roman.
I know, which
doesn't really help. Just buys you 2 years,
right?
So so that was a 3-way match. So if Daniel Bryan gets hurt and Triple H both get hurt in that first match, they still have a main event with the two guys. If there's an issue with Cody and or Roman on night one, especially Roman, that's a problem. And that's scary because that main event so like I said to you on Saturday or yesterday or today, like I can't imagine that tag match going a long time just because they don't want to risk this any more than they can. And it's not like Rock could work a long time. You can't put Rock in for 20 minutes. Roman's going to have to be carrying the load.
But I would imagine that they have plans in place.
Oh, I'm sure they do. But none of them are Roman and Cody. That's the issue.
I still think if that happens, not only do you have let's say Roman gets hurt. You have Cody versus Rock on night 2. But I'm saying you would have to hot shot that, and it would suck because the buildup for this, the buildup that they have done for so many matches come SummerSlam, which is something it is amazing right now. What they have done, the interest that they have built, just not coming out and saying it, but the interest right now in SummerSlam and the what ifs for SummerSlam, just sitting there and going, my God, can we get Rock versus Cody at SummerSlam? Can we get Drew versus CM Punk at SummerSlam? Like those, just knowing that those possibilities are already there for a show in August is really exciting and has not overshadowed anything in any of these matches at WrestleMania either.
I don't know. I'm more excited about whenever the hell Rock and Cody are going to have a match. That's the biggest. Who would have thought? This is what's amazing about pro wrestling.
That's the problem. You and I have talked about this with this match leading up to it, who the stars are in the match and kind of how they have built to this match. And that's the thing. So Rock came back last September. That Rock showed up at that SmackDown last September when it was in Colorado. Pat McAfee had him on his show.
That's right. Thanks
to Deion Sanders. The Rock was also in Colorado to watch the Buffaloes game. And Pat McAfee was able to get Rock to come to SmackDown that night. Then we see Rock again on January 1st. He comes to day one there. And I think, was there a surprise before or after the show? Whatever the show was in Alabama, he kind of showed up and it was a big surprise that Rock came there. When Rock came back those times, fans loved him. He was super happy-go-lucky, face Rock. And at that point, whatever plans they had for WrestleMania, they were kind of thinking, okay, can we push Cody versus Roman another year? We have CM Punk now on our roster. We weren't expecting that in October. We have all of these different pieces in the puzzle now. How do we make them all fit in? And then they kind of go, okay, we're going to have Rock versus Roman. Fans shit all over it. Fans hated it. And they pivoted so fast. And once again, using Pat McAfee at the Super Bowl on Radio Row and then having that press conference also in Vegas, they did such an amazing job that I don't think you would have gotten with old leadership in WWE. I don't know if old leadership in WWE would have seen those issues and decided to make the change the way they did.
I hope they're doing one of those documentaries behind the scenes through this whole thing. I would imagine that this is being documented backstage and has been since day one by someone.
I mean, Brian Gerwitz said, I believe probably has a camera on The Rock at all times.
Yeah. Even when sometimes he's on camera.
Yeah. Sometimes he will walk around. Yeah.
So I really am interested in the whole story of how this whole thing evolved, because how much of it was The Rock making that decision and getting in, and how much of it is because Rock and Triple H have a history and whatever that history, good and the good and the bad parts of it are, they know that they could trust each other from a work standpoint and know that they're probably very similar in their mindset, having gone through the most successful era of this business until now. But yeah, I don't know. It could have been, damn it, we're going for it. This is what we brought him here for. Or this is what we're going to do. And also, when you're making that decision at that time, or that making those plans, who really could foresee that heel Rock would be 100 times bigger and increase the excitement of this whole story more than babyface Rock? Like, babyface Rock against Roman now seems boring as all hell. Because heel Rock and Cody seems like this is the biggest match that the company could have, whether there's a championship or not. And that's how they built this thing up, and that's credit to The Rock, because you see him on screen, you see the way that he's doing this. I mean, he is such just an imposing, iconic, mythological figure when he walks out. He is bigger than everyone, physically and just the way he carries himself. And it's just, it's incredible to watch. And I do worry that it has overshadowed this whole thing. You said it hasn't. I'm dead serious. Like, Roman is almost like in the background. Like, he's just there because he's not around. He's still not around a lot.
He is around, but it's the same Roman that we have seen now for the last 3 years at least. It's the same character. It's the same guy that we've seen. So when you're getting a fresh, new character in The Rock, and you're getting somebody, as you mentioned, so physically imposing, to where before, okay, Roman comes out, what would we have gotten in this buildup? We would have gotten a whole lot of Roman's Solo and Jimmy jumping Cody and beating him up in this same way, which we've seen before. Never before have we seen The Rock jump a guy the way that he has with Cody and make him bleed. And the way they are doing this, making this into cinema the way that they have. My God, how perfect was the rain in Chicago that they got to go outside and do all of that out there to make it just look like it was in a movie, which The Rock is pretty damn good at making you think that it's what he's doing is in a movie. And I guess I don't think I wonder if they realize just how much of an extreme babyface Cody was. Yes, he was, I think, the biggest marketable star in the company. I don't think they realized just how sympathetic people would have been to him as well, when you also add in just the things The Rock is doing to him now and how much more that is even getting him over.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. The whole thing has been amazing to watch, and to watch it grow, and to see how far and how fast and how far the thing has come from that press conference. Because the whole tide of everything seemed to change at that moment. That after that press conference happened, and without that press conference, who knows where this story would be. But it seems like that moment right there, when everybody came out and shit all over The Rock, and Cody changed everything, that changed the whole landscape of these 2 months. 2 months, yeah. February and March. in this whole build and leading up to it, and creating a scenario where The Rock and Cody Rhodes are the biggest two stars in professional wrestling, period, going into WrestleMania. And you couldn't have convinced me that that's what it would be 6 months ago, because 6 months ago, I still wanted Roman and Rock, and I didn't give a shit about Cody.
I really thought, they could have easily pushed Cody versus Roman off to WrestleMania 41 and still made it work and just kind of threw him in there with somebody else, maybe Punk. I don't know. But I thought they could have done that, and this way just works. This way just seems to be perfect the way that it's the way that they've done it so far. So you have the tag match. We've talked about Roman, we've talked about Rock, we've talked about Cody. We have not mentioned the fourth guy that's in this tag team match on night one in the main event, the other guy that is working both nights of shows, and that is Seth Rollins, who was put in this position. I want to say originally was put in this position because they felt it would be a good way to elevate his championship, the world heavyweight title, and make him seem on the same level as the other three, which I think he has done. I think he is up there, but it's just, I think star-wise, he is on that level. I don't know how many fans see it that way. And I don't know how we get to Seth versus Rock, but I think that would also help him. It's similar to, if you remember a few years ago when Rock was in his last run with Cena, and they had CM Punk versus The Rock. CM Punk was on that level. CM Punk had the title for about 400 days at that point, but you just didn't believe that he belonged in the same ring as The Rock. And looking back at it now, he kind of did, and they probably should have made that a triple threat match at WrestleMania that year.
And verbally, he can hang with him, and that was the one thing. Punk is not imposing, but Punk can get in your face and make you feel like he could kick someone's ass just because he doesn't care. He just kind of has
Seth can do that too.
Yes, he can, but he doesn't. And that's my biggest issue with him, is that we know the Seth in the Shield, the Seth who cashed in and then was that champion with Triple H and Stephanie and the J&J security and all of that version of Seth Rollins. And even the Seth Rollins that came out of that, the babyface Seth Rollins, shortly thereafter, and the way that he carried himself. And then he came back as this goofy-ass character that makes no sense, that is like a heel, but he's not, because he's got a sing-along that people like to sing along with. And we all know that you go to a pro wrestling event, you love to participate. It's a participation. Same thing with The Rock. The Rock could just at any time go out and say, finally, and the fans will take the rest. That's all that it takes, because you want to participate in the show. That's cool. It's part of the fun of going to the show. But the Seth promo that we saw on Monday Night Raw, as opposed to the Seth we've seen for the last however many months, that's more like the person that belongs with this group. The goofy ass, wearing the stupid outfits, doing the dancing, encouraging the singing, and the weird voice. All of that stuff doesn't belong in the grown-up segments. It belongs in the back as a fun segment. You don't get to play with the big boys when you do that kind of stuff. That's what drives me nuts, because he is in the ring as talented as anybody in the world. We can agree on that. Mm-hmm. He is as good as anybody in the world when it comes to doing a match. He can be entertaining, and he's amazing with his in-ring stuff. But if he could just get rid of the crap, the stupidity, he'll look like the press conference, he looked like a dumbass. It was like three grown-ups and the little guy.
They didn't know what to do with him at that point. I don't think. But again,
but at least but I'm saying is his presentation. This isn't just now either. This is a year of me bitching about this, because it drives me nuts, because you know how good he is, and what a wonderful promo he has, and what a fierce character he can be, and he just does something that doesn't fit. It just drives me nuts, and I hope that this is the progression of that this is it, that we're done.
You mentioned the goofy outfits for Seth Rollins. The Royal Rumble 3 years ago here in St. Louis, we saw him go dress as a member of the Shield once again.
Shield
this
Seth.
match versus Roman, and he told me in an interview that next week that he came up with the idea about a week before and had somebody go to Davenport, Iowa, since it was a short drive from St. Louis, to go to his house and pick up that gear to wear it that night. Here is one of my predictions, and one of the things I hope to God happens on night one. I want to see Seth Rollins come out dressed like this on night one.
God, please no. This is a grown-up match.
But he's done things like this before. He's worn the Rey Mysterio Halloween Havoc stuff before. He has worn the Dusty Rhodes polka dots in a match against Cody Rhodes before. He has done stuff to get under the skin of guys. That would be fitting. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. I'd actually at this point be surprised if he did not wear something of the Rock's. Whether
he could wear, again, he could wear his blue pants. He could wear blue pants like that, and this is all up top. I mean, he obviously would take it off before the match, but yes, he will come down to the ring dressed as that. If that doesn't happen, I will be thoroughly disappointed.
Now, I don't know that he'll come out to the ring because he's got to do his sing-along. So he could come out if he's going to do it, you do it with the music. And you come out and you do the whole goofy, his whole goofy hand pumps and all that crap he did. You do all of that stuff and you do it up on the stage, and then you go and you let everybody sing your song for 67,000 people because there's a whole bunch of dorks who want to sit there and do the sing along.
They can work that in at some point.
Oh, it'll be it has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be because that's who he is. That's all there is. I'd rather see him do Shield Seth again, though.
No, they've already done that. He's already done Shield Seth.
It's so much cooler.
He doesn't need to get under the skin of Roman anymore. He's trying to get under the skin of The Rock. Therefore, he will dress like The Rock.
Well, see, where does he fit into this whole thing, too? Because we know that Cody has this thing with The Rock that is off the charts. And we know the thing with Roman is something that has been building and building and building, even though it's been quieter than the thing with The Rock. Who's Seth's big bitch with? And why?
Right now, he has the history with Roman. They have brought that up several times.
Correct.
Roman has brought it up to Cody. Seth has brought it up to Roman. They have done that. The Rock has attacked Seth a lot. And there's going to be So the Rock and Seth have gone back and forth at each other a lot. They do not like each other. There's a lot of people right now that Seth does not like. Seth doesn't like Drew McIntyre. Seth doesn't like
Punk.
CM Punk. He doesn't like The Rock. He doesn't like Roman. There are a lot of people that Seth Rollins does not like in the world of wrestling right now. And I do get the sense that there is a piece of all of this that we're not seeing at the moment, where I don't think he turned. That's the issue with the 2-night show. I don't think anybody turns on anybody in night one, because you still need all of them to be those same characters going into night two.
I think that the match that Rock and Roman win night one, and it doesn't really matter how. And they probably cheat to do it, and that's the way that it should be done. And then all the fun and games are night two at the end. And you're right. Everybody has to be whole.
Yeah, and I don't know where that fits into the match with Drew, because right now Drew McIntyre, this is the best that he's been in WWE. And it's one of those cases where he's a bad guy that makes a whole lot of sense every time he talks.
It seems like they say, Drew, go be Drew McIntyre if Drew McIntyre was super pissed at everyone.
Yes. And
it's awesome.
And he's going out there, and there's not a whole lot that he's saying that's untrue, but he does it in such a jackass jerk of a manner that you're like, God, I hate this guy. Can't stand this guy. And then you actually listen to the words, you go, makes a little bit of sense. Like
I get it.
Yeah.
I don't like you, but I get it.
Right. Like all of his beef with Punk. Like, right. I mean, right now, think of the buildup and everything he has said to Seth. He hates Seth Rollins right now because he doesn't think Seth Rollins is giving 100% focus and attention to the match with him.
And he's
which
right.
Normally, like, you would look at it and you go, great, I'm going to have an edge. Drew McIntyre doesn't want that edge. Drew McIntyre wants to go in there one-on-one, both guys 100%, and he's pissed about that.
It is a really weird thing because they are all so linked. And Seth's trying to do two things, and Drew's trying to do two things too, because he's more worried about a guy who's going to be on commentary than he is about his own match. So, let me ask. So, before we get back into the main event, real fast on the World Heavyweight Championship, because these things are kind of linked. So, like, they did this huge thing of this moment of Seth trying to pitch Cody to go after his championship and why his championship was such a big deal. And at that moment, I was like, "Holy crap!" I believe him. I'm in. I'd be okay with this. And at that time, it was the thought of Rock and Roman would be the main event on one, and then Rollins and Cody could be night one. And then after that, Roman crapped on the belt for 2 weeks, including at the press conference. And now we've got Seth splitting time. And Drew's is worried about Punk as he is about the World Heavyweight Championship. Like, how did we get here? Where the World Heavyweight Championship was supposed to be built to here, and now it's back to like completely irrelevant.
Because Seth has, they have asked Seth to do a lot. They have asked Seth to not only to build two matches at once, which for Cody and Roman, it's easy because they're involved in both matches. Cody and Roman can build the tag match and their one-on-one match on night two because those matches, one feeds into the other. To where Seth has to help build that tag match and build a match with somebody who is not involved in that tag match at all. So you're asking him to do an awful lot on TV each and every week, which he's doing, but it is going to water down something at some point.
And the title is what's getting lost, which sucks because they worked really hard for a couple of months to get it to where it was going to be a big deal and big enough to headline a show. And now it's like, okay, cool. We don't need that anymore. We're good. We just need this.
And then I think that's where so much when you look ahead at post WrestleMania stuff, how many people are you going to have involved in that picture? Because technically, I mean, you could have, you can move Seth far away from that if you wanted to. You could put Seth in a feud with the Bloodline if you wanted to after all this is done, and you can have Drew with that title or Damian Priest with that title, and you can have Punk coming back soon wanting that title. You could have Gunther wanting that title. Like, you could have different people involved in wanting to go for that. So you can move Seth far away from that belt and try to let whoever has it after WrestleMania, let them do the legwork on it.
So what happens? What do you think happens night one?
I think they have made so much of Bloodline rules, and the fact that they gave us Bloodline rules at Raw to kind of just show that, you know what, we don't know how to explain it, but whatever the hell you want to happen, it's going to happen.
We'll get to that in a second. After you tell me what you think, because we can talk about Bloodline rules here in a minute.
Do you have Rock gets the pin? Does it make more sense for him to pin Cody or Seth?
Cody. Let's be real here. Seth is here to make a tag match.
Yeah.
He really doesn't have a plan. And that's kind of my whole thing is like he feels like a square peg in a round hole. Just he doesn't really fit. Like he's just kind of there. And if they didn't have this, because they just needed to have someone come into this tag match, and they were starting a Cody and Rollins thing, and Seth has the thing with Roman. Really, there's nobody else that fits into that spot because you want Jimmy and Jay to have their own thing, which really sucks that they're kind of like lost in this whole thing. Like that's a main event at a other pay-per-view, and it's gonna be on Mania, completely overshadowed like everything else by this. It's like that would make a perfect sense if they could do that, but they didn't want to make a 6-man because then that's too much. So I don't know that there is any other way that they could go other than to have them. But
Okay,
so winning or losing doesn't do anything for the story. The whole story is Rock, Roman, and Cody.
So Rock pins Cody.
Rock pins Cody.
And then you get bloodline rules for night
And
two.
maybe Rock pins Cody clean. Because that just gives The Rock more ammo. Because The Rock's going to go on social media afterwards.
And
the next
that will
morning
give us a big insight into what happens in night two. Or kind of, I don't know if you get it clean, because I feel like they will plant seeds in night one to give us stuff to look for in night two, whether it happens or not.
Oh, yeah. This is like a 2-part season finale that's about to happen in Philadelphia. This is going to be as good. Maybe we're setting expectations to an unreasonable level, but I don't think we are with the crew that's in charge right now. I think that they're preparing to give us a 2-night story like we've never had or never seen in pro wrestling. That's their goal, is to have the greatest 2-night television spectacular for that storyline.
Paul Heyman came out and said that the end of the Bloodline story has been written and erased and rewritten several times now at this point. Mm-hmm. And he said there's a lot that has happened that we couldn't have expected to happen. I mean, God, how far back do you want to go? 2 years ago, there was nobody knew that Cody was going to be involved in WWE. Mm-hmm. At this time, 2 years ago, Cody Rhodes was not in the WWE.
Yeah, he hadn't debuted yet.
No. So, therefore, how could we have possibly known that this was out there? That we could have had this? So, to get that, I mean, just to know that and then you add The Rock into this, because everybody thought, okay, we were going to get The Rock in night, at WrestleMania 39. Never happened. We got Cody and Roman. Thought Rock was going to show up at WrestleMania 39. Didn't happen. Thought Rock was going to show up more when there was the writer's strike. Didn't really happen. I mean, Rock's doing all of this post-writer's strike.
Yeah. Also, post-board member.
Right.
He has more of a financial interest in the company. So this is more than collecting a check.
I mean, he's just making himself more money, yeah.
But he has a vested interest in this company now that he didn't have a year ago.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of all The Rock and his financials, it was announced today that C4 is the official energy drink company, energy drink partner of the WWE. The Rock has his own energy drink. It is not the official energy drink of WWE.
I'm sure The Rock is fine with another energy drink helping fill his pockets. Why should he pay?
Right. The Rock goes, they're going to give us how much I don't have to give? You mean I can just go post an Instagram story about this to... I don't even want to look right now at how many Instagram followers The Rock has.
Right. I mean, it's no sweat off his back. That's less money he's got to spend on marketing.
397 million followers.
When you're The Rock,
he has 397 million followers on Instagram.
Huh. That's it, huh?
That's almost 400 million in followers on Instagram, John.
He doesn't need. What's great though is and this is the thing with professional wrestlers, is the fans are so loyal. You can go ahead and advertise on WWE. Anybody who knows The Rock has one isn't going to go off of that. They're not going to go to C4. They're going to go, and I forget what the hell is
Zoa is the name of it. Yeah.
But yeah, The Rock doesn't need WWE's marketing. Not yet, at least. At least he's not paying for it.
No, I was going to say, he could just send out Instagram and he will reach 397 million people by posting about it on Instagram. And
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he can do that for free just one day. We will get into the Bloodline rules match.
Yes, we're going to talk about Bloodline rules.
We will do so in 30 seconds here on our WrestleMania preview show here on Claves Online.
I gotta put on my unis for this. Yeah. Hey, who you with? I'm with the team to be the champ by any means. Hey, what we do? We win together. Too many rings. Who do it better? Yeah. Running, we won't stop. Competition got them on lock.
This is our WrestleMania preview show brought to you by the Inskip Law Firm and also Glory Pro Wrestling. The next two Glory Pro Lives, both of which are at the South Broadway Athletic Club. One on April 21st. And John, on April 21st, that date might sound familiar to wrestling fans because that's the same day as AEW's Dynasty pay-per-view at Chaffetz. Glory Pro Wrestling, the first bell will start at 2 o'clock, and it will be done before the pay-per-view over at Chaffetz. Give you plenty of time to make your way over there and make it a full day of wrestling. Warhorse, KLD, Moses, Cody Lane, all set to appear on that show. And then coming up in May, on May 25th, will be the return of All Ego Ethan Page to Glory Pro Wrestling. That is on Saturday, May 25th, 7 p.m. show. It's Saturday night show out at Glory Pro. The next two events of Glory Pro Live happening here in St. Louis at the South Broadway Athletic Club. So we talked about the tag match. I think we both agree Bloodline needs to win. Rock pinning Cody kind of makes more of a story, gives us more to talk about leading in to night two, which would mean then, John, it's Bloodline rules in night two.
Cool. I would like a full explanation of what Bloodline rules are.
Anything goes. Anything can happen.
I'm waiting. Okay. What's the difference between a Bloodline rules match and a no disqualification match?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Anything can happen. Anybody, but I think what they said, and I mean, they kind of looked at that. Anybody can come, and maybe this is where something comes into play. Like they said, Jimmy could be the referee. The Rock said he could just sit on comments. I mean, maybe anybody can count. Maybe that's where something comes into play. Where if anything can happen, if anybody can be the referee, if anybody can count to three, maybe something happens and gives us a different ending.
Okay, I like that. I think that's pretty cool. I would like that explained, though. Because, yeah, I was excited when they were like, Bloodline rules. All right, cool. They're going to give us a Bloodline rules match on Raw so we can see exactly what this is. And then they both came out dressed like it's a normal match and had what appeared just to be a boring no disqualification match.
I mean, it wasn't boring at the end.
But that's all. But the whole point of it was here's a Bloodline rules match. So show us something that is. I don't even care if it's just the look of it, just something that gives it. When you say in the NWA they would have street fights. When they had if they had a Chicago street fight or a Texas death match, those matches, everybody like New Day did a month ago, came out in jeans, t-shirts. Taped up, your hands taped up to
That's a street fight. I fully expect Bobby Lashley to wrestle in jeans on whatever night he's wrestling.
Okay, well, it's a Bloodline rules. Seth comes out in normal pants. Solo comes out. Can somebody do something to make it look different? If you turned that on and had no idea what happened earlier in the show, you would think you were just watching a normal match. And then a table came out.
I think it is. Yeah, it's still just a normal match, but we don't know what can happen. You go into it treating it like a normal match.
I hate it.
That's how you go about it. You go into it treating it like a normal match.
But you got to make it. If you're going to make a big deal about it, can we have something that's different than just a no? It's like WWE has the no holds barred matches, yet you're still not allowed to use any of the barred holds.
Right.
I think it's fantastic. No holds barred, but don't do a pile driver. Can't do pile drivers.
Yeah.
No chair shots to the head. Can't do those.
Only certain people could do power bombs. Yeah.
Yeah. One guy gets to do a tombstone. Two guys. Neither of them are here anymore. Nobody can do the tombstone. Like, Jesus Christ. Can we at least have some? I'm just saying the look of it should be different. You should be able to watch the match and be like, that's a Bloodline rules, not just a no DQ. That's different. I don't care what it is. Make something on the screen look different in the ring. That's all.
So we get all of this. We get all the different run-ins. I'm sure Jimmy will come out. Jay will come out from the night before, and they'll settle something. Solo, of course, will get involved. We know all of these, we know all these different things are going to happen. What about some of the rumored names? John Cena has said a few times now he doesn't have anything going on that. He's not filming anything that night. He's off that night. John Cena has said that he's involved. There's been talk of having Stone Cold just involved because it's WrestleMania 40. But let's just start with John Cena's name. Does John Cena make an appearance in a Bloodline rules match?
All right, before I answer that, do you think it was completely 100% intentional that when they had the fight outside Chicago, there was one truck in the shot with a spotlight on it, and it had John Cena and Steve Austin on it? Right.
Yeah.
That was the most noticeable thing when they came out there and I was like, ta-da! I was like, where are they? Are they coming out next week? Are they there? This is way too much. Or it was just having fun with internet people. It was one.
I also liked the Wheatley vodka one that came out too. As soon as they opened the door, the Wheatley vodka truck was standing right there, which I guess is on Cody's bus because Cody has some involvement in it. But they're also the official vodka of WrestleMania. Perfect. So yeah, so that was you saw that right away. I would just love to know, as Raw was going on, the direction that was going on outside in the rain of, hey, this is how the show's going to end. We need this truck here. We need that bus there. This is where we need everything. And Rock, when you open that door, okay, that's what's going to show.
It's amazing. And nothing happens by accident in that company. So all of this was 100% pre-planned and perfectly executed.
And Cena has mentioned, I believe he was on Fallon, and he said that he had nothing going on. Then, which, by the way, Rock and Roman, I believe, are on Fallon. Is it tonight or tomorrow night?
Yeah, they're on tonight.
Thursday. Yeah. So, is there more? Is more added on to all of this in tonight's on Fallon?
I'm sure. Have they done? Have they made appearances anywhere? Is anyone making an appearance anywhere that isn't adding to this in some way? They all are.
Rhea Ripley, she was on with Ariel Helwani, and they made an appearance. They made that into a storyline.
Yeah, big week for Ariel.
It really has been,
between the CM Punk thing and then that. I mean, that was pretty cool, and that had to be a lot of fun for him as a lifelong wrestling fan. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine you're sitting at Radio Row in the Super Bowl, and then then that happens at your table.
Yeah,
like 8-year-old Joe Roderick would be jumping on the table with excitement.
Right. Yeah, that was.
And I'm sure 8-year-old Ariel Helwani was doing the same. You can see on his face. He was not supposed to be giggly, but he looked like he was smiling the whole time.
Right.
Like, this is so cool. Stop. This is cool.
I think I've been in those situations before too. I had Seth on the one time when CM Punk made his return to AEW. And asked him about it. And when Seth started going off about how much he hated Punk back then, I was kind of sitting there going, oh my God, he's really just going like.
I'm not really sure. Is he planning something down the road, or is this real?
I don't think that was long-term storytelling. I think
it was not.
I think it happened, just so happened. And Seth decided he was going to be an adult about it and make money off of his hatred towards somebody.
That's like its own show, that whole thing.
Yeah. So it's WrestleMania 40. It is. So yes, you have Stone Cold involved at some point. You have the glass break, and you have him come out and do something. Maybe not involved in that match, but you do have him as a part of the show. As far as,
well, here's the thing. I just don't know how. I have been thinking about it since that Raw a week and a half ago, how you do it in
how you do
the
what?
Actual show, how you use them in that show without taking away from everything else, which is a really weird thing.
Cena already has history with the Bloodline. I mean, Cena has wrestled The Rock in back-to-back WrestleManias. Cena has wrestled Roman a few times now and lost to him. And we have not seen John Cena in a WWE ring since Solo Sikoa gave him 7 spikes in Saudi and beat him clean in a match. So John Cena has history with the Bloodline. So John Cena coming out in that match and stopping Solo and having a face-off with The Rock, that makes perfect sense in all of this. And if you need to have some, if you look at the sides right now and you look, they're uneven by one. Jimmy has Jay, Rock and Cody, Seth and Roman, and Solo has nobody right now to go up against him.
But that's not his job.
But I'm just saying, if you want to even the sides 4-on-4, that's where Cena comes in.
And then you have Rock drop both of them eventually, so they have to go. That's the thing. Is like it's got to be quick for both of them.
Yeah,
because you don't want to take too much of it away, especially if you're going to have two guys come out. And I'm all in favor of those two being part of anything, anytime they ever want to be part of something. But this is just different, and it feels different. Like you want everybody who you can be involved, but you don't want it to take away in any way from what this is built up to be. I guess
I don't think you have Stone Cold get involved in anything bloodline related.
But it'd be Rock related. But it's the Rock.
Okay. That if you're saying a face off with the Rock, who he has main evented WrestleMania with 3 times,
yeah,
then yes, okay, that one makes sense.
What about Triple H?
That works. Yeah, you have him ride down on his 4-wheeler. Okay.
But remember, Triple H, you had when was the moment with Cody in the locker room that felt a little tense?
I know. I remember what I don't remember the exact.
I don't remember if it was before Mania last year, or if it was after Mania last year. But where he put his hand on his on his thigh, or like he slapped him on the back, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And like the words were sort of encouraging or positive, but you didn't think so or weren't sure because of the way that he kind of walked out. And that's never been revisited. And it seems like with the Bloodline storyline, like nothing gets left off to the side. Like eventually everything that has happened comes back in some way.
And I think that's something that after Cody wins the title, then maybe you could get Triple H involved in that authority role to be his first real nemesis, you know? Maybe somebody comes in and you can have somebody work with him that is Triple H appointed. A second coming of the authority.
So what if Cody doesn't win on Sunday? Because I'm going to say right now, I have absolutely no clue. You're going to ask me what I think is going to happen. I have no idea. There are so many directions that I think there's only one direction that Saturday can go to make Sunday be as important as it needs to be. And we both agree on that. But Sunday could go a ton of different directions, and I don't think they lose with any of them.
I just don't know what you do with Cody if he doesn't win again.
He goes away for a little while. And then you tell the comeback story. Now, the one thing you have to figure out is he says this is the last time I can't challenge, all that stuff that really means nothing if I don't win it here. And they have 2 events where that can be fixed, which is Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumble. And it's wrestling, so who gives a shit, right? You can fix stuff all the time, stuff like that.
But also Cody already did that in AEW too. I mean, are you really going to revisit this?
But he did it in AEW and like legit did it.
Exactly.
Because Tony Khan didn't say, this makes no sense, we're not doing this.
But that's the thing. It sucked for his character, and that's one of the reasons probably why he's not in AEW is because he ruined himself from the get-go by doing that to himself.
Well, that's another discussion because the boss is the boss, and the boss didn't tell him to knock the crap off, and this is what we're going to do, and I don't care if you like it or not.
Yeah. So
and that happens in one place, and it doesn't happen in another place.
I at this point, I don't see... Man, I cannot imagine going to bed Sunday night where Cody Rhodes is not the champion.
But here's the thing. Like, this is so on fire. How far out can they keep this going? One,
exactly.
We don't know.
And that's the thing, too. Okay, if Cody goes away for a while, because Roman's not working every week, Rock isn't working I don't imagine Rock's going to keep working at this pace. If Cody goes away for a while, how are you going to continue this sellout streak of Raws and SmackDowns?
Well, and here's the thing, too, is, well, I don't know. Rock is having a huge part of all that. Let's be fair about that. We have no idea what he's doing. We have no idea if Roman's schedule is going to change since he didn't do a ton for the last year. Is that workload going to increase for this upcoming year? And we don't know what they have. When you don't know Roman and Rock statuses, those are like huge question marks into how this whole thing can play out. And you don't know when Punk is coming back, which is also another one because you can put Punk with Drew and Seth, and they can headline every show you want.
Yeah,
and you won't even remember that the Universal Champion isn't around if you have those three guys together. But this is, like you said, like Heyman said, this has been written, ripped up, written again, ripped up again, so on and so forth. This is at a peak again, because how many times have we said that? Like, it can't get any bigger. Well, here we are, and it's as big as it's ever been. How long can it continue? And can you get to SummerSlam and do this? And let me ask you, does it matter which show? If he were to do this at SummerSlam, I think SummerSlam and WrestleMania are the top two shows, and then the Royal Rumble is like its own thing because the Rumble match is bigger than anything else that you're going to have on the show. Survivor Series is fourth on that list and is really, in a lot of people's eyes, not as big as Money in the Bank. So would a match of Cody and Roman and Cody beating Roman at SummerSlam, would that be enough? Does it have to be at WrestleMania, or can it be at SummerSlam?
I'm looking here. I think it has to be at WrestleMania.
Why?
I'm looking here.
And I'm asking seriously,
WWE pay-per-views. Actually, the next 3 WWE pay-per-views are all international. And they did this last year, too.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're going to have a whole lot of shows here in town. But then after that, the next one after this is Backlash France. And then that's in that Backlash France is coming up in the end of beginning of May 4th. And then you have Clash of the Castle, which was just announced today, is in Glasgow, Scotland. And then you have Money in the Bank, which is in Toronto. So that's in July. And then SummerSlam's after that.
In a stadium, and I forget where.
In Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland Brown Stadium. So you're not having any pay-per-views that you need to build up to sell out, because these international shows are selling out before you even see the card, because first time in how long the company's been there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they don't. I mean, Paris, France, or wherever in France they are, they don't care who's on the card. They're just thrilled that WrestleMania is coming.
Yeah.
By the way, Cody is front and center of the poster for that too. By the way.
Well, of course he is.
So, in case you were, in case you thought he was going to go away for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just because you're on the poster doesn't mean that you're not, like, they're not going to not put Cody on the poster.
Right.
But no,
Roman's
I
on the
understand
poster.
What you're saying. Well, maybe he goes away for a while then. Even though he's been away for a while. So what is it? Yeah. What's the difference? Yeah. He's probably not going to that show, just as he wasn't going to Australia.
16,000 seat arena just opened in November of 23.
In France?
Yeah.
Where in France are they going?
I
want you to say it. I don't know where it is. I don't know where, but it's probably not Paris.
Design Charpeau, Greater Lyon, France.
Oh, Lyon.
Yeah, Lyon, France.
Very good. Or Lyon, if you're in the United States.
Nah, I took 4 years of it in high school. I got Lyon down.
I didn't know that it was going to be easy for you.
I imagine they built this for the Olympics. And this is kind of the trial run for any kind of sports, volleyball, basketball, any kind of indoor thing that they're going to have for the Olympics coming up in this summer.
Yeah, so we got to find something else to do with this building. That's usually like the theme of every country that hosts the Olympics. That's
how Savas Center, Kiel Center, whatever it was called back in the day. Wasn't that one of the first events? Was Hell in a Cell?
I don't know if it was one of the first events. It opened in, what, 94, 93?
94?
93.
Okay, then it wasn't one of the first events. I believe United Center, they held SummerSlam back in 92 or 93 before they held anything else up there. I think that was the very first event that they had up there. So that's what you bring in wrestling fans and you let them decide how well this place is going to run.
Yeah, so they'll and they'll bitch about it. It's perfect.
So the other one too to kind of look at for night one is that Seth and Drew match. First of all,
go back. I want to finish up with this because I'm going to throw other scenarios at you for this night 2. All right. Your belief is that Cody is going to win. I assume that if you're wanting Cody to win or think Cody's going to win, he's going to win, and he's going to win clean in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, using his finish, correct? And that's how it's going to be, and the confetti comes down, and we get the whole moment.
There's going to be nothing clean about how he wins, but...
No, he's going to stand in the middle of the ring with him and Roman, and he's going to give him the crossroads 18 times, and then he's going to pin him.
Yes.
Okay.
After a whole lot of other shit happens all around them.
Right.
And about 8 other people run out and get involved, and people are hit with belts and everything else. Yes.
Right. After everybody gets their shit in.
Yes.
Cody gets to finish his match.
Correct.
All right, cool. That is probably the most popular belief or popular scenario out there. And Cody has his big moment in the ring with the confetti, and that's how they go off the air. Now, other ideas. What if Seth Rollins turns on him in the ring and costs him the championship? And Roman wins.
Did Seth lose the championship earlier that night?
Oh, we didn't have that part. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I think that does matter. Because
okay.
I think if Seth loses his title at the beginning of the night, doesn't he want Cody then to have it so he can go after the title with Cody?
Or does he want to beat
Roman? Or does he want to go after it with Roman?
Don't you want to go after it with Roman as the one guy who hasn't beaten Roman?
Some of this comes into play is who would Seth want to face if he's coming in there and getting himself involved in the match?
I would think that. I would think he'd want to go. I think one thing we can't agree on, and we'll get to the whole part of the match, Seth's not leaving WrestleMania weekend with that championship.
I do not, as when Monday Night Raw goes off the air Monday night, I do not think Seth Rollins has the World Heavyweight Championship.
So whether that happens on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, one of those 3 days. Okay. I didn't think about Monday as a possibility, but okay. I agree with you that this is great. You and I never agree on shit. We're going to agree on this. I don't think it'll get to Monday. I hope it'll be Drew. And he's the one who walks out with it because Drew with a belt would be awesome. this Drew shitting on everybody with a championship will be fantastic. He's turning into one of my favorite people. And I used to change the channel when he was on. It's beautiful. Okay, so there's that possibility that Seth turns on him. There's also a possibility that Rock turns on Roman and helps Cody win the championship. There's also the possibility, as far-fetched as it is, that Damian Priest gets involved in this somehow. Because as long as he has that stupid-ass case that is just cumbersome at this point and in the way. I think in the way is a good way to describe the thing. As long as that thing is still in the way, which it may not be by that point. It may be gone by Saturday.
Yeah.
Or earlier in the night on Sunday. One of the two. That is also a weird option that could play into this whole thing just to screw it. And these are all just to make Cody's whole thing look more miserable for him, just to make him more miserable.
And I think that's where, if Damian Priest does cash in, I think that's where you separate Seth from this and you move that World Heavyweight Championship on to so many other people, whether it is you have Damian Priest or Drew, or I guess Finn Balor could get involved in it then too. If they lose the tag titles and then he gets upset that Damian cashed in and now Damian's the champion, even though they don't have the tag titles anymore, Braun Strowman could come back. There's a lot of different ways that people they can add in to this and get involved in something like this. So that moves you away. And that's what you and I talked about. The writing for this and the way that they are going to go about doing this is it's wild how many different avenues they could go.
And that's I really do. That's why I want to know. I don't want to know, but I want to know. It's one of those deals where like I want it all to play out, and then I want to find out afterwards, like how did they get here? Like remember that night on, I think it was a SmackDown, where they spent like 15 minutes on the history of the Bloodline with Heyman and Roman and them, I think, in the ring, or maybe it was Sammy was maybe even there at that point. He was. And they told the whole story of the stuff behind that Sammy was doing, and then they told the other story of what they were doing to kind of play Sammy. It was awesome. It's like, oh my God, that was like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
How in the world could you go back 8 months, find a 5-second clip and tie it all in and continue to just build this story up. And now they're doing it in a very fast manner because it's changed a lot. And they found a way to make it bigger than we could have ever expected it. And now we're going into this weekend and have absolutely no idea what is going to happen on Sunday because there are so many different ways it could go. And that is so awesome.
I completely forgot about that Sammy angle where they showed the videos and showed all of the different things that were done during their time. That's where I look at this and I think back to the Deadly Games pay-per-view 1998 Survivor Series, when the end of the night, The Rock won his first world title, and he joined forces with Vince McMahon. And then you go back and you look at the buildup to it, and all of the times that the corporation would jump The Rock never once laid hands on Vince McMahon. Mm-hmm. The whole lead up to that, Vince and The Rock hit everybody. The Rock hit Pat Patterson. He hit Gerald Briscoe. He fought Shane. He fought everybody else. He never once laid a hand on Vince McMahon. And then you went back and you looked at that and you're like, wow, they went that long and told that much of a story and made it look like he hated him that much and never touched him at all.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why going into this, the obvious is Cody winning, but there are so many different ways that you could go. And they've already got they have plenty of stuff, I'm sure, planted that can continue this thing on. And if The Rock is part of this a little bit, The Rock is setting up him and Cody at some point. Yes. So he's not going away permanently. He has to come back. There's too much going on for that not to happen at SummerSlam or at WrestleMania, one or the other. And at some point, Rock and Roman have to have a match. Then that can happen at SummerSlam or WrestleMania. At this point, Rock and Roman at SummerSlam and here's another idea. Okay. Could we have ever imagined that heel Rock would be this big of a deal instead of babyface Rock?
I just don't think. I think it's one of those situations where you never thought it was ever going to happen again.
Well, there's part of that.
Yeah, I think that's more so what it is that we never expected this to happen.
And you really never thought it could work.
Right.
I mean, he's the biggest star in the world, one of the biggest stars in the world, period. He is a very, very giving and generous and seems to be very genuinely kind person. And that's his persona for the most part online, even giving away a trip to a guy and his kid to go to WrestleMania on Twitter last night. Mm-hmm. But then he's going to go out. And this, by the way, was 2 nights after he showed TikTok videos of kids crying because he was beating Cody's ass. It's so weird. Very few guys can do this. And it shows kind of how talented he is, that he's able to separate it almost like a television and film star does from their actual on-screen characters. It's very, very hard to do what he's doing. But it's working. He can sell T-shirts. He can get the pop when he comes out because people are seeing Rock for the first time, which, I mean, think about that. You and how many times did you saw him you saw megastar The Rock. I saw Nation Rock grow into the Deadly Games champion, and then as he became the icon that he is now. There's a generation of people seeing him in person for the first time who've never seen him in person.
John, I got to see him come out, and I got to be at that press conference in Vegas. And they had that arena. They had 1/4 of that T-Mobile arena kind of set up for that. And it was such a short press conference. And it was he didn't wrestle. He talked. Being 10 rows away from that stage and seeing that at that time, that was the coolest thing I got to do all week.
And you were at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was didn't even know that was going to happen until like Monday or Tuesday of that week. That was the coolest thing that I got to do the entire week, was see that press conference and see the Rock's music hit. And I wasn't the only one. I think all the other people there too were just like, oh my God, it's The Rock. Like we get to see him again. Like this is great. Like he's here. He's right in front of me. His music just hits. Mm-hmm. I want to be in an arena now where the new music hits and the new intro and the lightning and everything else.
It's pretty cool.
I can't wait to see how they do that in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, let's also point out too, to every young wrestler who's not listening to this, because why would they? But to every young wrestler out there, if you're going to be a bad guy, change your shit. Okay.
Right.
Rock did it in a week or 2 weeks, got new music.
He's reusing old music.
But the presentation is different. He completely changed his presentation on a dime.
Yes.
And yeah, it's old music, but it's tweaked, right? Even though that it's old.
It's old music, yeah. It's tweaked music. I mean, he's re-wearing some of his old things that he wore back in the day. Yeah. The cow print vest, I know that was a callback to something he's worn before. So he's digging through closets, yeah.
But it's cool that he immediately changed everything. I'm going to be Bad Rock. Bad Rock can't be cool. Now, he was cool in Memphis. That was a little weird. But he comes out and he gives the fans what they want, which is the entrance. And then after that, show's on. And I love that. Like you get both. And it's working. So I say all of that to say, as another weird thing that could come out of this, could you turn Roman babyface with keeping heel Rock?
I have thought about that. I'd love to see it happen. You know what? Hey, Paul Heyman was able to work with Brock Lesnar and make him a babyface in a recent run. I do think they could do that with Roman. Yes.
But they kick Roman out of the bloodline because The Rock is the tribal chief.
I don't know how they go
and that
about
comes
it,
with Rock losing.
yeah.
That comes with Roman losing and Rock costing him the match and Rock turning on Roman.
Right.
Completely.
It can be done, yes.
It can definitely be. I mean, I think all of these things are legitimately possible to be done. I can't
wait till Saturday, Sunday, Monday night to see how all those things go down.
Yeah. So like Damian Priest cashing in on that and being part of it is the least possible in my eyes. But everything else, if any of the other things that we talked about so far have happened, none of them would surprise me. And they'd all be, they would all, I don't think there's an ending to that show that isn't going to make you want to turn on Raw the next night.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible. I think it would take an immense amount of screw ups. And I just can't see that happening. And I really do. I'm at a point where I don't know that he wins. And I don't know that that's the right thing for him to win.
John, we have 13 matches on this card coming up on Saturday and Sunday. We are an hour and 10 minutes into this show.
I told you.
And we have talked about 3 of those
really
matches.
2. We've barely talked about a third. I cut that off.
I've gotten enough in. I've gotten my stuff in on that one. I'm happy with how that's gone. So what we will do is take a little bit of an intermission. When we come back, we have a whole lot to cover in these final 10 matches of the card for this WrestleMania preview. Brought to you by Glory Pro Wrestling and the Inskip Law Firm.
You may be thinking, I need a will. Or maybe you have heard the term estate planning and thought, that's only something that wealthy people do. Or perhaps you thought, I don't have an estate. Or maybe somebody has told you that you need a trust. If you own anything at all, or you have children, then you have an estate, and you need to plan for it. Estate planning involves a series of documents and decisions that plan for how you want your assets allocated and your children cared for, as well as your future medical care if you can no longer make those decisions on your own. If you've ever had a loved one die without an estate plan or experienced the probate court process, you know it's a smart move for yourself and your loved ones to put together an estate plan to protect everything you've worked for. That's where we come in. Estate planning is what we do. At the Inskip Law Firm, our process is simple, personalized, and you'll know the cost up front. No surprises. We start with a free consultation. It's really just a conversation. There's no preparation necessary. It usually takes less than an hour. We know that you're busy, and finding the time to meet with an attorney can be hard to come by. That's why we offer virtual consultations and weekend hours. No need to find a sitter or take time off from work. We'll talk about wills and trusts and what's best for your personal wishes. Then we'll create an estate plan that's designed just for you. This usually takes about a week. We'll review them together, and once you're happy with them and understand everything they do, you'll sign them in our office. And that's it. Give us a call, or shoot us an email, or check out our website to book your own appointment at a time that works for you. We're the Inskip Law Firm. Personalized estate planning for peace of mind.
Back here, it's the WrestleMania Preview edition of Pro Wrestling Talk STL. Joe Roderick, John Marecek with you. An hour plus into the show, and John, we've talked about 3 matches, the main events of the show, and we have a whole rest of the card to get to. We will not go into every single match. I can promise you that much of the rest of this. But John, I will ask you this. I'll start off asking this. We know which shows will be on which nights.
Which matches will be on which nights.
Yeah, which matches will be on which nights. Which matches should open each night?
Oh, that's a good question.
Night one.
You do the ladder match.
Night one, Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch opens it up.
You do the car crash first.
No.
And you get it over with.
No, I think you could save that for second on the card. Becky has said that she has wanted to open a WrestleMania.
That's true. So you let her do that. Fine.
So she has said that match is going to be a really, really good match.
Yes.
And it's going to get the crowd going right away.
Yes.
So I think you go with that.
That's fine.
Then you go with the car crash.
You go, or do you split them up? Because here, we got issues, all right? So we know we know the tag goes last.
And maybe you go Jay and Jimmy next because you have to save them for 3 hours later when they need to be involved in that match.
You know what? They might open because of what you just said.
And that's why I think they go second. I think Becky goes first because Becky has asked to go first. And then you have Jay and Jimmy.
And then you can have the
car crash. And then you hope you forget about them, and then you go from there.
And then you've got 2 fillers on the show that you need to slide in somewhere. And that's the women's 6 women tag, and then the Ray Dragon Lee Santos and Dominic match.
Let me add this. This is the only thing I'm going to say about the Ray Dragon Santos Dom match. I am upset that it's on night 1.
Why should it not be on night 1?
Bad Bunny is playing a concert on Saturday night at Ford Field in Detroit.
Yes, that is close to where they are.
How is that close to where they are?
It's not. It's
okay.
I was in Chicago. Yeah, by the way, I'm really pissed that I didn't realize that Bad Bunny was in Chicago last week when I was there. I don't know like any Bad Bunny songs, but I totally would have gone just to see the spectacle of a bad, after seeing two girls who were not from the United States, who were in our elevator in Chicago, dressed in onesie rabbit bunny costumes, or not costumes. They're like PJs, but costume.
Okay.
I'm like, where are you going? Like, Bad Bunny. I'm like, shit, Bad Bunny's here? Damn it. To which Volleyball people look at me like, who the fuck is Bad Bunny? What are you talking about? This is where the wrestling stuff comes in, and then I have to sit there and explain to them why I know who that is. And they're like,
But I am upset with that because I would have really hoped that Bad Bunny would have showed up in that match.
I know.
If that match was on Sunday, I would have expected Bad Bunny to be a part of that.
Is he not doing a show on Sunday? Because he did 3 in
He's
Chicago.
not doing a show on Sunday, no. Just the show is on Saturday, no show on Sunday.
Well,
I'm gonna guess there's less of a need for Bad Bunny in Detroit than there is in Chicago. I'm gonna guess that Bad Bunny in Chicago makes sense to go 3 nights. Also, that was probably at the United Center, right?
It was.
Okay. He's doing Ford Field in Detroit.
Oh, that's a one-nighter then.
Yeah. So
he did 3 at United Center.
So I'm very upset about that. That's the only real mention I'll give out of that match. Yes, I agree. The 6 women tag, the rest of Damage Control against Bianca, Jade, Naomi. That's also filler in that match. Let's talk about the tag match though. Right now, as we are talking about this Wednesday night.
Are you gonna explain the rules?
Judgment Day, DIY, Awesome Truth, New Day, A-Town Down Under, New Catch Republic. There are rumors that Pretty Deadly is going to be added to this match.
Oh, good, because we need more teams in here.
The rumor is that A-Town Down Under would be removed.
Okay.
There are also rumors that the Hardys might come back again.
How?
There's also rumors that Motor City Machine Guns are free agents. And could they possibly have some way of getting involved in this match?
Aren't Matt and Jeff still under contract?
I don't know if they are.
Wouldn't that be a big story if they weren't?
There's been talk about it, so I think they are free agents.
I don't ever remember seeing or hearing that those two were free agents.
Let me ask you this too, because I don't think, unless he is with somebody, are Bubba Ray and Devon, either one of them, under a contract with anybody right now?
They're doing a show at the ECW arena on Friday.
Okay.
No, they're not under contract with that. They're both. They're neither of them are under contract. I don't think. I don't know what. I take that back. I don't know what Bubba Ray or Bully Ray's status is with TNA, but I don't think he's like under some sort of a permanent contract. I think he's able to go and wrestle at WrestleMania if he wants to.
As of March 6th, it was believed that both Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy were going to be free agents in a couple weeks.
Okay. Well, and another company isn't going to make a big deal about that this close to WrestleMania.
Yes.
And the talent themselves usually isn't going to make a big deal about that this close to WrestleMania if they have half a brain, because if something like that were to happen, you don't want anyone to know.
Okay, so
it would make sense for us
again,
not to.
Before we get into how we think the match is going to end and the rules of the match, I just gave you the Hardys, the Motor City Machine Guns, and the Dudleys.
Dudleys would be awesome.
And the only reason I even mention that is because they're in Philadelphia.
Well, and it's yeah. This has nothing to do with the tag. It has to do with the whole show. I hope that there are ECW talents represented on this show getting a moment. I don't give a damn where.
Who?
Any of them. I mean, I would love to see, and I think Philadelphia would love to see, and the moment would be cool if Tommy Dreamer could come out.
Right.
And just to make, and it's simple as make a run in for something. Or RVD probably can't because of his AEW relationship. And I don't know what that contract or what that status is, but he's been on there a bunch. To have the Dudleys there. And the Dudleys and Dreamer both make sense because they had longer careers they had careers in WWE, and the Dudleys are as much WWE guys as they are ECW guys.
Yeah.
But I know it's ridiculous, but could you imagine if Enter Sandman played at Lincoln Financial Field just for shits and giggles, for him to come out and stand there with his cane,
right,
and slam a beer and smash it on his head? I don't care why. I don't care about, and none of this. All of this ECW stuff would be just for fun and just for fans. But I think it would be cool that anybody that you could have come out there and just represent that era, that company, and be recognized just for a moment would be really, really awesome. I hope it happens, at least with a couple of guys. I think the Dudleys being part of this would be kind of fun. I think that would work, because with this many guys, you don't have to do a lot.
Bubba Ray was in TNA the same time as Eli Drake was in TNA. Eli Drake, of course, now goes by the name of LA Knight. So there is history between them, and same with AJ Styles too. There's TNA history between Bully Ray and AJ Styles. So maybe that's where you put somebody like a Bully Ray if you can get him involved in this.
Bully Ray, special guest referee.
The Bully Ray, go hang out with those two. Go do something with the two TNA guys.
Yeah, it's just something and there's enough spots in this show where you can do some of that fun stuff. And that would actually be one with those two guys, because there's history. Problem is, that I didn't know that. Most of the people at Lincoln Financial Field don't know that. So that's not really a huge deal. But for the ones that do know, it's cool. For the ones who don't, they don't give a shit. Bubba Ray Dudley's here.
So in this match, you have 6 tag teams as of right now in this match, the 6 that I just named off. The way that it has been described is that all of the belts will be hanging above the ring, and then you have to pull down one set of belts, and then once the other set of belts is pulled down, match is over.
Okay, so you have to get both. What if I only pull one belt down?
So my guess is that they will be on the clips. They've done this before with 2 belts up there at once. Mm-hmm. You grab the hanger and you grab the belts down off of that. So you're not unattaching the belts. You're grabbing the hanger and you're bringing that down.
Okay.
So
that has both belts on it.
Yeah. So that is what I guess it's going to be. I'm also going to guess that all 4 belts are not going to be on that same hanger. They're going to have the belts 5-10 feet apart, to where you can't just, I'm going to grab that one, I'm going to grab that one. And so you have to set up the ladders and go up there and grab one. Then you have to get the ladder and go up there for number 2.
Which is, I'm really curious to see how far apart they put them, because I agree with you 100%. You have to make them unreachable. Yeah. You can't make it to where you can reach both, but there's a danger factor the closer you get to the ropes. You're losing space. And when you've got this many guys in a ring bouncing all over the place, and you're up on a 12-foot ladder, and anything can happen. It's scary with no one in the ring. Now you're going to have maybe 6 guys bouncing around, or 4 guys bouncing around while you're trying to go up, and you're 5 feet from the ropes, because you got 20 feet from the middle, 10 feet left, 10 feet right. So if you move it, you split that difference, you're only 5 feet away from the ropes. That's tight.
Outside of Finn Balor and Damian Priest, what reason do you have to go after the second set of belts if you already pull the first one down?
Because you want to have both.
Okay.
That's why.
But I mean, you already have one. You could just go, okay, hey, I'm good. I'm going to leave now.
You can.
DIY pulls it down the first set of belts, and then they say, okay, we're good.
No, you don't do that. What kind of competitor are you?
I got my belt. That's what I came for.
Well, don't you want both? Don't you want to be the undisputed?
Nah, you just want one.
I'm good, thanks. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I got my title. I'm a champion.
Why aren't they? That was kind of my question too. So have they said in that rules that everybody stays in, or if
they
you
haven't? They just
have to go?
Match ends when both sets of titles are taken down.
Okay, so it hasn't been clarified if one team can get both.
No, it is not.
Okay.
They have not. They have not said anything of the. They haven't said anything about that yet.
So based on that, I'm guessing that I'd say that they can stay. That they are.
They can. Yeah. But I mean, do they have the belts? I mean, they're sitting there holding the belts. What do they do? They go over and say, "Hey, hold Samantha Irvin, hold these belts for me. I'm going to go back into the match."
You give them to the referee.
Well, then the referee has to continue to referee.
Well, there's multiple referees.
You're adding a lot into this.
There's a lot going on here.
There is.
There's
But hey, you know what? They came up with a way to get 12 guys on the card and split the titles and put one on each show, which hasn't happened in many years at this point.
It's a lot, though. This is going to be the clusterfuck of clusterfucks.
We've had matches like this before, though.
I don't know that I've seen a tag ladder match this many people in it. And then we're going to have, and we've never done one with 4 belts.
Right.
That's new.
Yeah. Correct.
But it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be crazy. God bless all of them trying to do this. Who wins?
I think DIY and the Awesome Truth, they are the ones that walk away with titles.
If the Awesome Truth does not win, that place is going to go batshit nuts.
Yeah. A lot of people are going to be really upset about R-Truth not winning a title. R-Truth, the run that R-Truth has been on, he deserves to have the title.
I think R-Truth and The Miz as champions will be fabulously entertaining.
I don't think it's going to be a long title run.
I think it can be because there's so many damn belts. You got to have something that's fun. We're going to have 2 tag champions. You got a U.S. champion, an Intercontinental champion, 2 different world champions, 2 women's champions, and the forgotten women's tag championships.
Yeah.
It's a lot of championships. You can have one that's fun. I like your idea, though. Or do you have 2 baby faces walk out with championships that night?
Yeah, because they're going to go to one's going to go to SmackDown, the other one's going to go to Raw.
Correct.
And there's enough tag teams out there where you can make that work. Yes.
Are there?
Yeah, absolutely. You saw how many were in this tournament leading up to it. Yes.
Are there enough, though, that are on that level? Yeah, there's a lot of teams, but it's like there's teams and then there's teams.
You can make it work. You'll be able to make it work on SmackDowns and Raws, and yeah, you'll be able to make that work.
Okay, I trust you.
Yeah. The other match of note on night 1 is Gunther versus Sami Zayn. It's really unfortunate that this match is not kind of as exciting as we would hope. The buildup is not what we would hope. I mean, this was supposed to be Brock Lesnar versus Gunther.
Right.
And
Brock's not allowed anymore.
Right. And so we get Sami in the match. I don't think Sami's a threat to win. I don't know what happens with either one of them after this match, though. Gunther's ready for the main event picture.
But eventually you have to take that championship off of him.
Yes.
And the problem is that usually on those types of things, if you've got a faction and you need to take a championship off of somebody, your faction costs you it, and then you end up being the babyface. I don't like Gunther being a babyface. I want Gunther to be a badass who doesn't give a shit. And I want this Gunther, who you kind of like, but he's a bad guy. This is the guy that if the other 2 do something to cost him the championship and he turns on them, no one likes them.
Yeah.
No chance of any of them getting any sympathy. They'll cheer Gunther for beating the hell out of his faction.
Gunther right now has had the title for 663 days. So by the time of the match, he will be over. Yeah, he'll one more week and he'll be at 670 days of having this title. At some point, does Gunther just say, "All right, hey, here's the title. I want the main belt now"?
No, you got to go win the other one first. They have to get it off of him somehow, though.
Yeah.
But that is kind of a weird spot. Like, okay, he's done it this long and he deserves to move up. You're going to have to find a way to get it off of him. And it's losing to somebody who cheats or him being cost the match, and then just have to deal with it after. And he's a strong enough character that even if that happened, it would probably be fine. It's pro wrestling. In a couple of weeks, we can just forget that happened.
7 matches on night 1, only 6 matches in
Hold up, did we talk about
2.
Jimmy and Jay at all?
We've talked about it a little bit in passing throughout the entire show. I know, but the
match is just, isn't that suck though? Like the match is just there now.
But I mean, forever though, I think we know what was going to happen. I think Solo comes in and costs and helps Jimmy win the match. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about. I think it's going to be 2 brothers that have had this match planned, and they've done this in their living room. I mean, thousands of times, and in the backyard, and in wrestling rings when they were there with Rikishi as children. I mean, the match that they are going to do on Saturday is a match that they could just walk out there and just go, all right, here we go. Like there is going to be nothing that has to be rehearsed or talked about, because we are going to see the match that has been done by the two of them for the past 30 years.
So it's like, which one do you want to do?
Right.
Or do you want to do both of them together?
Right. Hey, remember when I did that one thing to you off the couch? Hey, let's do that.
Oh, will Rikishi be there?
I hope so. I hope Rikishi. I backstage something. I hope we get to see Rikishi on TV. I would love to see him just sit there and watch all of this. He has to just be loving the fact that he has 3 sons that are that are involved in the main event picture the way that they are.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty cool for their whole family to see this WrestleMania centers around their family.
Yeah.
And, and also let's not forget in the women's tag, you've got Naomi.
Yep.
Is also part of this.
The Rock's grandma's going into the Hall of Fame.
And the Rock's grandma's going in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just pretty, I think with that, and I didn't mention this before then, I should have, but with that like bloodline rules type match, I think it would be really, really cool to see members of the family there in some way, whether they're visible in the audience, whether they're part of the entrance standing at the top of the ramp when the Rock and Roman come out, something, because they're going to be there. I mean, a lot of the family that we don't know is on the card. They're going to be there because family's going into the Hall of Fame, and family is such a huge part of the show. They're going to be there. I think it'd be a neat little piece of the show to have them out there with their family. And they made a huge deal about the family tree.
Yep.
At the press conference that you were at. It would be cool. But that's just as I'm thinking with them. Go ahead.
Night 2 has 6 matches on the card. No real clusterfucks like you mentioned in night 1. It is, there will be one. The Philadelphia street fight between Lashley and the Street Profits along against the Final Testament, which is Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain.
Bloodline rules.
By the way, you want to bring Sandman into this? This is where Sandman comes in. And I got this just came to me too. How you involve Sandman in it? You have Street Profits hand him one of their solo cups filled with a beer, and you have him drink that and smash that on his head.
Oh, that's good, because then you don't have an advertiser, which they don't necessarily like. But he could use Austin's beer, and that would cover that. But yeah, both of those would be very good.
Yes, that's
good
how
that he could fit in that. That would be fun.
That's how you involve the Sandman.
Yes, I love it. Sandman in there.
So this one, God, Seth Rollins.
Imagine.
Seth and Drew, Io Sky versus Bayley, LA Knight versus AJ Styles, Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, triple threat for the United States Championship, the 6-man street fight, and then Roman versus Cody. We will find out the stipulation for that at the end of night 1. John, which match opens the show?
Logan Paul.
I would agree with that. Yes.
I know that's what you were going to say, but yeah, it's the one that makes the most sense.
Yes.
Because it'll be on fire.
Yep. And you also get all of Logan Paul's, the viewers that Logan Paul is bringing to this. You get them in there at the start, and you hope to keep them the rest of their nights.
That's a good, I didn't think about that part of it, but yeah, that's a good one. It's pretty cool. That's to see these three names and the buildup and all that, the story to go to it. That's one thing. But when you think of Randy Orton, who is like your prototypical professional wrestler, he's like the prototype of, if you wanted a professional wrestler, it's him. Like that's Randy Orton is everything you would want a pro wrestler to be. Then you got Kevin Owens, who is an icon on the indies and looks nothing like a professional wrestler and a YouTuber.
Yeah.
This is such a weird group, and they're going to they're going to have a steal the show match.
Yeah. And on top of that, you look at where they are in the card, and let's go back to night 1 with Sami Zayn too against Gunther. You look at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, 2 guys that a few years ago the internet said they weren't happy in WWE and they weren't being used correctly in WWE. These are last year. Those 2 guys main evented night 1. Actually, this is the Kevin Owens has main evented night 1 the last 2 years. At WrestleMania
with Austin,
because he was with Austin the year before. Sami Zayn, part of the main event of night 1, last year, had the run in the main event last year in night 2. The year before that, they trusted Sami Zayn to be the guy to work with the big celebrity star that they were bringing in to add more viewers in Johnny Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
And so they brought him in and had him do that 2 years ago. So these are guys that they have trusted with those big spots. And this year it's, hey, you know what? You're not the main event every single year. They're taking a step back for right now.
But it's a championship match, and for both of them, they're both in championship matches. And this one is going to be the one that is going to have highlights thrown on this night. The 2 matches that are going to get the most attention online for moments will be the main event and this match, because this match is going to have moments that will not be matched the rest of the night. And a lot of that is Logan Paul, because he's not, I wish he was around more and did more, because he's so talented, but he doesn't have to. So I guess there's no point in him doing that. But could you imagine if he dedicated 100% of his time to this? He barely does it, and he's incredible.
Yeah, and I'm surprised with how much he's been around. And he's going to have a huge part in SummerSlam. Not only is it one of the big pay-per-views, it's also in his hometown of Cleveland.
Oh, it is in Cleveland. I didn't know he was a Cleveland. I didn't realize that. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Then he's going to be around for a while. Good. That's good. Yeah. I love watching him. I love watching him wrestle.
With the schedule that he's working and the big matches he's put in, why wouldn't he be around for a while?
Because he doesn't have to.
But when he does, he comes back and he does something for you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the match. I think it'll be fantastic, and to see where all 3 of these guys come, because Randy Orton could shoot out of this to the main event. Logan Paul, I don't know where in the world he goes. Does Logan Paul retain in this match?
I think Kevin Owens wins it. Has Kevin Owens had the U.S. title before?
Believe so.
I know he's won the Intercontinental title a whole bunch, and I know he doesn't want to win the Intercontinental title again.
Okay.
I guess he has won it as many times as Owen Hart has won it, and therefore he's happy. He doesn't want to win it.
He just doesn't want to beat Owen's record because Correct. Owen is his idol.
Yes.
I get that, but you don't get to pick that.
I think he's at the point where he could just say, you know, I don't want that title. And they say, okay, we don't need to give it to you.
Well, they don't need to go out of their way to give it to him. How about that?
Yeah. He has won actually the U.S. title 3 times. So
I thought so.
Yeah, he's won it a lot.
Okay. I have no idea, or honest to God, I don't even care who comes out. I don't think Randy Orton wins it. But I think if Cody wins, I think Randy Orton goes that direction.
Yeah.
At least towards that, not necessarily straight towards it, but that's the direction he goes. I'm totally fine with Logan Paul. And Logan Paul winning against these 2 guys just gives him another step up. And I think that's I think that's a good thing.
Kevin Owens winning, if he wins it for the 4th time, he will be in a category with such names as let's see who has won it 4 times. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's won it 4 times. Booker T has won it 4 times. And then you get up the most times anybody has won the Intercontinental or the U.S. title has been 5 times.
And who is that?
Flair has won it 5 times. Wahoo McDaniel has won it 5 times. Lex Luger, Chris Benoit, Bret Hart, and John Cena. Luger
was the one that I was wondering. Luger had it not only a lot of times, he had it a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been the early 90s.
Luger has had the title longer than anybody else, 523 days total.
It was that like 90?
Or no, probably more than that, actually. That was just one title run, was 523 days.
And that was probably during that time.
That was in 89.
Yes,
when
89.
He won it.
Yeah, yes. So he had it all the way through 1990 when he was here as the U.S. champion at Starrcade.
And of course, this will shock you. They're not sure. The internet's not sure if Flair has won it 5 times or 6 times.
That's because the WWE recognizes things differently than facts. That's why the 23-time thing exists.
Yeah.
And not, what is it supposed to be, like 28? Something like that? Because they don't necessarily recognize all the title runs.
Where do you put Seth versus Drew on this card?
I have no idea. That's a very good question. I don't know. And is that also one that you put at the beginning because Seth's going to be around at the end? Because remember, too, with this match, this is a 3-person match. One of them is talking, and then you've got 2 in the ring. So you got to put all 3 together.
That's why I don't think you start with the CM Punk is the whole reason why I don't think you start with this.
But you
I don't think you open the show with CM Punk coming out to do commentary.
Do you open the show with CM Punk being the first person who comes out for that moment? That'd be
I'm sorry. Say that again.
The moment of the show kicking off, and then the static and his music hitting is the first thing at WrestleMania. That place will go nuts. That'll be bonkers of a reaction.
So is that how you start it then?
I think you could do it that way. And I think because he's on commentary and he'd be the first person coming out for that reaction, I think that works. I think that would be nobody else on the card that night until the main event is going to get the reaction he's going to get. Like, it's not even close.
Right. Yeah, I think that does. I think that makes more sense than opening with Logan Paul.
Talking it out, yes. I didn't think about the Punk factor until we started talking about it. But Punk's the first one who's going to come out.
And then you can also play into the fact if Seth does lose, that Seth just, was wrestling 20 hours before that.
Mm-hmm. And that gives time for Seth to not be on the show for 3 hours before the main event.
Right.
And he'll be part of which he'll be part of.
Exactly. All right, John. So as we get ready to wrap this up, as I guess the way to look at this, because the Raw after Mania has become such a big thing, who is the world heavyweight champion when Raw goes off the air Monday night?
Roman Reigns.
No, world heavyweight champion.
Oh, the world heavyweight champion?
Yes.
Drew McIntyre.
Okay, I'm going Damian Priest.
No. I want Drew to have the championship. When is Clash?
Clash is not until June.
Damian Priest screws Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre beats Seth Rollins, and Damian Priest cashes on Drew, and Drew goes and gets it back at Clash.
Okay, so then Damian Priest has
that'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? Did I book a good one?
Yeah. I think Seth is involved in that too. Can you go Seth, Damian, and Drew in that match?
Can you have Drew? All right, here, let me one issue with what I just said. That's one bad guy on another bad guy. So who's the good guy? Although Drew's going to be an uber babyface at Clash of the Castle.
I do think that they have planted enough seeds where Damian Priest is out of Judgment Day very soon.
As soon as they lose the tag championships.
I don't know if Dom, because Dom is trying to do a lot with Andrade. Dom has also done stuff with Legado del Fantasma. So I don't know what the plan is there with whatever Dom's planning. But I do think whatever Damian does, I think we are going to see the end of Judgment Day. We're going to see that break up into a few different factions.
Over those 3 days, I agree with you.
Yes.
100%.
And that Damian Priest becomes a face.
And he could do that and be awesome.
Let me tell you a story real quick here, just about Damian Priest.
Punishment Martinez, he's who you know him by.
Yes, and thank you
your friend.
Punishment. Yes. So 6 years ago, when I went to WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, and I was still doing the show with Animal at the time, we had Punishment Martinez on the podcast. Apparently, all of our old episodes, which are still up wherever the hell you could find them now, I don't know, but some of our first episodes in the first year of that were on Andy Hanselman's website, the St. Louis Podcast Network. He threw them up there. Last Friday, when Andy and I are recording our show, Weekend Joe, Andy starts telling me about how he's gotten a whole lot of activity lately on the STL Podcast Network of people downloading one particular interview that we did. So much so, I believe he said 61,000 downloads recently over the past several months. And I don't know, but I thought Paul Ellering, like Paul Ellering's back. Maybe that was it. Something like that. He goes, no. He goes, some guy named Punishment Martinez.
Some guy.
So Andy had no clue, and I had to explain to him the reason why the Punishment Martinez episode is getting so many downloads.
And that all goes back, and it's fascinating to look back at how the moments or events that happened that kind of have changed and put into motion where we are right now. That was 34, so that's 6 years ago in New Orleans. That was the same. You met him because of that show. They were there, the Ring of Honor Supercard that really was the first non-WWE WCW event to do anything, have any kind of traction. They had 8,000 people there. And that was kind of the beginning of, well, we can do All In. And that group, all of a sudden, with that show was the Bucks, it had Cody, it had the Briscoes, it had Kenny Omega, it had, God, who else was on it? Punishment was on there. A lot of the guys that were part of All In were on that show.
Yeah.
And that just, All In happens, AEW happens, and now you have Cody and you have Punk, which is really weird. But all of those things, and you have this iconic Damian Priest who is just ready to be a megastar.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a megastar. And you were there at Supercard when he was just part of this show that's like, oh, yeah? Don't think we can draw? We're going to draw. It was like 8,000, and it was like, oh, can't draw 10, watch this. And that kind of really started right there.
He's 41 years old, by the way.
Is he really that old? God, he looks great.
If you feel like adding to that 61,000 download number and you go and you want to find that interview and listen to it and you hear all of his upbringing and just kind of the start he got in the business and everything else. I mean, it really is a fascinating story that he tells about just the way that he had to make it in the business and the way he had to kind of just decide one day, I really want to do this. I need to make a lot of changes. And the way he went about it, it really is cool. And I really do hope, because knowing that story, I hope that he comes out of this weekend or sometime soon as the champion holding the belt, cashing in that Money in the Bank briefcase.
Well, think about this. Him and LA Knight are two perfect examples. Two guys that were older getting this. So he would have been, you say he's 41 now?
Yeah.
So he was 38 when he finally got to the main roster?
Yeah.
38 years. And how old is LA Knight?
37, 38. And the first thing he got to do was work with Bad Bunny.
I mean, those are neat stories.
Yeah.
Of guys, it's a hard business. And you see a side of it with your time in Glory Pro and some of the things that you saw when you worked with Animal, a side of the business that would scare anybody off. And for guys to for them to stick in it as long as they did and to keep doing it and keep having that dream and that push and making those sacrifices, it is cool when you see it pay off.
LA Knight is also 41 years old.
So both of them about the same time. LA Knight got there about a year later.
Yeah.
The main roster. Maybe even more than that.
Right.
It's incredible. That's really neat. This is for LA Knight. This is going to be a big, big moment.
Yeah. Some of the guys, I mean, you just look at some of the ages of some of the guys that are on this card, the big stars in the company. And it's crazy going back in the day and knowing how old some of those guys were back then. Bobby Lashley, 47 years old.
Well, remember when Hulk Hogan was in WCW in 1999 and he was like 30 something. I was like, this washed up old guy, why is he still on TV?
Right.
Now he'd be in his prime.
Yeah. Orton, 44. I mean, Gunther, 36. Like, that's just you're not getting, you are getting some cases of guys in their 20s that are rising through the ranks, but still to see some of the age. And I mean, it just goes to show the shape that these guys are getting in. And there's the kind of the lifestyle choices a lot of these guys are making compared to the wrestlers in the 80s.
Yeah. Being a wrestler now. Well, it's also there's guaranteed contracts. There's less travel. There's, it's less having to hustle town to town. You don't have to work 8 shows in 7 days anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Which those guys had to.
All right, John, that'll do it for our show tonight.
That's it. We only did an hour and 50.
I know. Yeah, only for that. I cannot wait to see what happens Saturday and Sunday into Monday night. Very excited for all of it as they are touting this as the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Should be about 140,000 people in attendance over the 2 nights for this event at Lincoln Financial Stadium in Philadelphia. Can't wait for everything coming this weekend. Thank you to the Inskip Law Firm and to Glory Pro for sponsoring this, what we're calling the 10th edition of our WrestleMania preview here as part of Pro Wrestling Talk STL here on Claibs Online. For John Marecek, I'm Joe Roderick. See you next time.
I gotta put on my uni for this. Yeah, hey, who you with?